I'm going to take Cuddles to the vet later. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, Yud Zayin base.
Okay, the Usign base. Okay. The measure of a skin bottle to be lose its tumor is a hole the size of balls of warped thread. Although it cannot hold balls of warped thread, nonetheless, since it can hold balls of weft thread, it is tummy. Concerning a dish holder, although it cannot hold dishes, nonetheless, since it can hold platters, it is tummy. Concerning a chamber pot, although it can no longer hold liquid, nonetheless, it can still hold the excrement, it is still tummy, and Rebbe El Ruz Tahor, since people do not keep it. The measure of bread baskets to lose their tumor as a whole the size of loaves of bread. Concerning apiphoros baskets, if one needs them from the bottom to the top for support, they are tahor. If one made a room of any kind on it, it's susceptible to becoming tumor. Reb Shimon says if it cannot be lifted up by its rim, it is not susceptible to tumor. The pomegranates of which the rabbi spoke are three attached to one another. Rabbi Shimon ben Gamliel says concerning a sifter or sieve, a hole through which a pomegranate would fall when one takes it and extends it, and concerning a basket, a hole through which a pomegranate would fall when one slings it behind him. Concerning all other utensils that can not hold pomegranates, such as a quarter kav measure, a half of a quarter kav measure, and small sifters, they are measured to lose their tumor is when the greater part of them is perforated. These are the words of Rav Meir. Rav Shimon says the size of olives, if they were broken, the measure to lose their tumor is a whole the size of an olive. If they wore away, the measure to lose their tumor is any amount. Okay.
New Mishna today. Harimon she'amru. Okay, so when we're talking about a rimon, how big is the rimon itself? Because you have big rimonim and small rimonim. Answer is lo katan v'lo gadol ele beinoni, medium-sized. Okay, an average-sized rimon is how you measure it. V'lama huzkaru rimonei badan. Now, the Mishnah asks an interesting question because there seems to be some because somebody has a memory of mentioning the specific kinds of pomegranates which are called badan, the badan species of pomegranates. Okay, and there appears to be some havamina that badan is the size of pomegranate that we use to measure the holes in these Keilim. And the Tanakama says, nah, it's got nothing to do with Tuma and Tara. All it is Sheyu Mekadshin Kol Shehain, David Rabbi Meir. So Rabbi Meir, sorry, not that I'm not going to say Tanakama, it's Rabbi Meir just says that all that makes Badan pomegranate special is that because they are high quality, they prohibit an entire mixture in any amount. So there's no bittul for them. So when you have something that's chashuv, we don't say, normally we say there's bittul barov. When you've got dry, then whatever the majority is, we say is done. But when you've got something that's considered chashuv, we have this in kashrus. So, for example, if you have two pieces of chicken or whatever, two pieces of chicken are kosher, and one piece of non-kosher chicken falls in among the three of them. All three are considered kosher because it's a majority. Now, you can't, if you cook them together, that's going to be a problem because then definitely the asur taste is going to spread through all of them. But if you take each individual piece and cook it by itself, or they're already cooked pieces, then all three of them are considered that they are from the majority, and you're allowed to eat all three of them.
Wow. Now,
there's some discussion about whether or not you're allowed to have one person eating all three, because then vadai one person is going to be eating isur. But if you want to split it among three people, every one of them is allowed to eat and assume that their piece is kosher. However, if it's a chaticha is kabed bo, that's the expression we used. If you have something that's like a chashuva thing, like let's say it's a steak, right? There are three steaks, and there's the sort of thing that you would put on the plate of a king or prime minister or whatever. Then there's no bittul, because once something has reached that kind of chashivus, it's no bittul. And that's what we're saying over here, is that the pomegranate of Badan has got that sort of significance because it's such a high quality, and that's why the Badan pomegranates are specified in halacha, says Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri omer l'shayir bahen es hakelim. No, that's what we're talking about, is that Badan pomegranates are used to measure holes in Keilim. That's the size of your pomegranate. Rabbi Akiva omer l'kach u'l'kach huzkaru. Both. He says, you're both right. The shayir bahen is hakelim v'yu mekadshin kol shehen. that we use it for both. Okay, now what is the halacha? I don't see any halacha. Anyway, Amar Rabbi Yossi lo huzkaru rimonei badan v'chatzira geva ela shiyu misashin vadai b'chol makom. Rabbi Yossi has a different pshat in why we have badan, is that because they need to be tied as certain maaser. In other words, if you're not sure if they had maaser taken from them or not. Just a sec, I'm sorry, I got to bounce this. According to the pomegranates of Badan were not singled out with regard to the size of the whole. He just find the place where he says that items that are commonly sold. I can't know. Wait, where's Rabbi Yossi?
It says the pomegranates of Badan and the leeks.
Yes, and the leeks of Geba. Right. So these things, according to the Tana, they were not singled out. According to this Tana, in other words, Rabbi Yossi, the pomegranates of Badan were not singled out with regard to the size of the whole of wooden utensils, for he holds, like Rabbi Meir, that such utensils lose their tum upon developing a hole the size of a simple medium-sized pomegranate. Nor were pomegranates of Badan singled out to be classified as a significant item that is impervious to nullification. Okay. He just holds that any item that is sold by hold on, where's Rabbi Yossi's oh, there we go. Except in the regard that they should be tied to certain mass everywhere. Okay, so we know about trimmers and masras. Okay, so produce bought from an am haaretz is treated as demai. So Chazal said that such produce may not be eaten until it's been tithed. Okay, that's because they observed that a sizable minority of Amei Haaretz become lax in separating tithes. Although they separated truma, some of them no longer separated any other tithes. As a result, one who purchased produce from an Amei Haaretz could not be sure whether or not tithes had been separated. Okay, so the sages enacted that the purchasers separate the tithes. So that's the whole thing of demai. We've learned demai. We don't need to go too deep into this. But by contrast, the next paragraph on 752. By contrast, one who purchases pomegranates of Badan and leeks of Geba must assume that they have not been tithed, and that may thus not eat them until he first separates all the requisite tithes to which the produce of Eretz Yisrael is subject, including truma. That's because Badan and Geba were inhabited by Kutim, right? So the Kutim they took on a lot of halachas and they converted to Judaism. But their observance was flawed. So basically, anything that comes out of their territories is assumed not to have been tithed, and you can make a bracha on it. And when you take your chumas and masras, because we know that the kusim don't keep it, and if it comes from their territories, then we can tithe it with a bracha. Okay, just give me a second over here. No, so we can assume when we find Badan pomegranates or these leeks of Geba. If we find them in the market, we assume that they have not been tithed.
And you still make a bracha.
And it's more, and even more so than demai. Demai, we're just taking out a safek.
Right.
But when it comes from the kutim, then it's a vadai. We know that they didn't take. So you make a bracha on it. You give it to the coin. The coin eats it batara, and so it's treated.
That's unusual. That's a chiddush.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the chiddush that Rabbi Yossi is saying over here.
Right.
Okay. Right. Interesting to do. I don't see anyone paskening halacha which about this over here. At least the article doesn't tell us who the halacha is like in all of these cases. All right. So now we've just spoken about what size pomegranate serves as the measure for pomegranate-sized holes. Okay. So now the coming Mishnahs are going to talk about different shiurim. For different things. It's a tangent. It's got nothing to do with Keilim anymore. Now we're just talking about what do we use for these shiurim, like kabetza. Kabetza shamru lo gedola v'lo katana ela beinonis. You're talking about a medium-sized egg. Okay, and I guess we're talking about chicken eggs. Is the assumption over here? Okay, Rabbi Yehuda Omer maybe gedola sheba gedolos or katana sheba katanos. He says, how do you measure it? You take the average of the extremes. Find the smallest egg you can, find the largest egg you can, and put them into water and see how much water they displace. and divide the water in two.
Mhm.
That way you know what the size is of a kibetza.
Okay.
Amar Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi says you haven't gained anything. How do I know which is the smallest of the small? You just got the eggs that are in front of you, and maybe there's another egg out there that's smaller than your smallest one, or another one that's bigger than your biggest one. Elamai. It depends on the examiner, on the estimation of the examiner. It's right. So he's saying, look, you can't get it to that exact, but look at what's on the market and estimate what is the medium size of an egg, and that is the halacha. It follows Rabbi Yossi. Okay. Krogogeres, the dried fig. Where do we have a krogogeres? Is for Yom Kippur. That's the size that a person has to eat to be chayav. Okay, that's a grogeres, and also for the volume for transferring from one domain to another. That's the minimum amount of food that is fit for human consumption.
Just one second. You said someone would say Rosh Hashanah, you had to eat that to be chayav?
On Yom Kippur. On Yom Kippur,
okay.
I'm sorry. Hang on. A grogeris? No, that's a koseves. Is Yom Kippur. Erase what I said. It's the volume of a dried fig is for carrying food on Shabbos, and also how much you can use for an erev chatzeros. Just while we were talking about it, let's just go back to a beitza and say, like, what are the things that we measure with a beitza? So beitza is the amount for food tuma. Any piece of food that is smaller than a kibetza cannot transmit tuma. What are other areas that are used for an egg volume? Is the size, according to Rabbi Yehuda, it's the minimum size of an estrog. It's also the base of other things like a log and a kav and a sa'ah, all based on how many eggs are in there. All right, so back to our krogeres, the dried fig. Lo gedola, lo ketana, ela beinonis. Again, medium-sized. Rabbi Yehuda Omer Hagadola Sheba Eretz Yisrael Hi HaBeinonis Sheba Medinos. So Rabbi Yehuda says that actually figs in Eretz Yisrael are smaller, because a large fig from Eretz Yisrael is like a medium size in Chutz La'aretz. So it's actually quite difficult, because figs are one of the 7 agriculture products for which Eretz Yisrael is praised, as the commentary points out. So it's difficult to fathom how the figs of Eretz Yisrael could possibly be inferior in size to those of other countries. So Eliyahu Rabbah amends the text to read the smallest of Eretz Yisrael is equal to the medium of the other countries. At any rate, whatever our understanding is that first of all, the halacha doesn't accord with Rabbi Yehuda, and we go according to a medium-sized dried fig. Okay, and Adkan.
Yud Dal Gimel. A builder's crowbar and a carpenter's pick are tummy. 10 pigs and surveyor's pegs are tummy. A chain of surveyors is tummy, but a chain used for wood is tahor. A chain of a large bucket is tummy up to 4 tefakim, and a chain of a small one is tummy up to 10 tefakim. A stand of blacksmith is tummy. A saw whose teeth one set into the door separating space is tummy, but if one turned it upside down, it's tahor, and all covers are tahor except that of a boiler. The tummy parts of a wagon are as follows: the metal yoke, the crossbar, the tips that are designed to accept the straps, the iron under the neck of the animal, the pulling ring, the harness, the plates, the clapper, the hook, and the nail that connects parts together. The tahor parts of a wagon are as follows: the yoke that is plated, tips made for ornaments, tubes that produce sound, the lead fears in the side on the side of the animal's neck, and the rim of the wheel. The metal sheets, the plating, and all other nails are tahor. The metal shoes of an animal are tummy, but those made of sham are tahor. At what point does a sword become susceptible to tumah? When one polishes it, and a knife becomes susceptible to tumah when one sharpens it.
Okay, Beis Vav.
A gister that was found in a kill before its manufacture was complete is tahor. After its manufacture was complete, it's tameh. A titros, Reb Eliezer ben Zadok rules a tahor. Reb Yossi rules a tameh since it lets out liquid drop by drop. These are tummy among the earthenware utensils, a tray that has a rim, an enclosed fire pan, and a tray that is filled with bowls. If one of the compartments becomes tummy via sheretz, the others do not become tummy. If it has a rim that extends above the compartments and one of the compartments became tummy, the others become tummy. Excuse me. The same applies to an earthenware spice container and double inkwells. A wooden spice container whose compartments become tummy via a liquid, its other compartments do not become tummy. Rabbi Yochanan ben Nori says we divide its thickness. That would serve the tummy compartment as tummy, and that would serve the tahor compartment as tahor. If it has a rim that extends above the compartments, and one of the compartments becomes tummy, the other becomes tummy. Okay.
Another one.
Right. A torch is tummy, and a lamp holder contracts tumah via airspace. The comb-like projections of a tatzar Rabbi Eliezer rules in tahor, but the sages rule in tameh. Okay, that's it. We have the Koros, and we have test bait. The mice of animals is drawn from within the areas that a grazing animal is left to range. How far is a grazing animal left to range? 16 mil. If there were 32 mil between them, they do not combine. If they had animals between them, they must be brought together and be tied in the middle. Mermeya says the Jordan separates them in regard to the mice of animals. An animal that is purchased or received as a gift is exempt from the mice of animals. Brothers who are partners, when they are obligated to pay the korban, they are exempt from the mice of animals, and when they are obligated to pay the mice of animals, they are exempt from paying the korban. If they acquired animals from the estate, they are obligated, and if not, they are exempt. If they divided the estate and then we entered into partnerships, they are obligated to pay the korban and are exempt from the mice of animals. All animals must enter the pen to be tied, except for a hybrid, a treifa, an animal born by cesarean section, one born before its time, and an orphan. Which is an orphan? Any animal whose mother died or was slaughtered. Rabbi Yehuda says even if its mother was slaughtered and the hide is intact, the offspring is not an orphan. Okay. Let me just check over here. Okay, good.
Sanhedrin.
And we have Sanhedrin. Okay, Chet. Zion Chet. One who desecrates the Sabbath is with something which is punishable by charis if done intentionally and obligates a sin offering if done inadvertently. One who curses his father or mother is not liable unless he curses them with the names of Hashem. If he cursed them with a secondary name, Reb Meir holds him liable, but they can come and acquit him. One who cohabitates with a betrothed Na'ara is not liable unless she is a Nara, a virgin, betrothed, and still in her father's house. If two men cohabitated with her, the first is stoned and the other is strangled. An instigator to idolatry is a common person who instigates a common person. He says to him, there is a deity in such and such a place, thus it eats, it drinks, it benefits, thus it does harm. We do not conceal witnesses to entrap anyone punishable by death according to Torah law, except for this one. If he spoke to two and they are his witnesses, they bring him to court and stone him. If he spoke to one, he says, I have friends who desire this. If he is clever, he says he is able to speak before them. They conceal witnesses behind a partition, and he says to them, say that which you said to me in private. The other said to him, to which he replies, how can we abandon our God in heaven and go and worship wood and stones? If he retracts, it is good. If he says this is our obligation and is proper for us, those who are standing behind the petition bring him to court and stone him. Included in this, anyone who says, I shall serve, I shall go and serve, let us go and serve, I shall slaughter an offering, I shall go and slaughter an offering, let us go and slaughter an offering, I shall burn an offering, I shall go and burn an offering, let us go and burn an offering, I shall pour a libation, I shall go and pour a libation, let us go and pour a libation, I shall bow down, I shall go, bow down, let us go and bow down. One who leads astray is one who says, let us go and serve idols.
Okay. That's that.
And we have
Sukkah, Daled Aleph.
the mitzvahs of lulav and willow branch are performed 6 or 7 days. The recitation of challah and the mitzvah of rejoicing are performed 8 days. The mitzvahs of sukkah and the water libation are performed 7 days, and the flute is played 5 or 6 days. How is the mitzvah of lulav performed 7 days? If the first day of the festival falls on Shabbos, the lulav is taken 7 days. But if it falls on any of the other days, it is taken 6 days. How is the mitzvah of the willow branch performed? 7 days. If the 7th day of the willow ceremony falls on Shabbos, the willow ceremony is 7 days. But if it falls on any of the other days, like the ceremony is performed 6 days.
Okay. Brachos. Base.
Okay. If one recited, "Who creates the fruit of the soil over fruit of the tree?" he has fulfilled his obligation. If over fruit of the soil he recited, "Who creates the fruit of the tree?" he has not fulfilled his obligation. If over all of these one said, by whose word all things exist," he has fulfilled his obligation. Over such things as do not grow from the soil, one says, "By whose word?" Over vinegar, over unripe fallen fruits, and over locusts, one recites, "By whose word?" Over milk, cheese, eggs, and cheese, one recites, "By whose word?" Rabbi Yehuda says no blessing is recited whatever over the nature of a curse. And if many varieties are placed before him, Rabbi Yehuda says if one of the 7 is among them, he recites the blessing over it, and the comments say he blesses over whatever he wishes.
Okay. And so.
I'm glad we got it in. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Tomorrow, you plan to go to late, Minion?
Friday.
Friday.